Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts. You can catch me on my YouTube channel and Bitchute channel and Facebook page, all at True Divine 44. You can also go to my Instagram and Twitter at the True Divine. Any likes, shares, comments, tweets, whatever. I greatly appreciate them all, and much love to everybody who's doing that, because it does help me with my business side of things. So I really do appreciate that help. And thank you to the new subscribers that got me to 300. Thank goodness. So that really is appreciated also. And that's down to you guys sharing what I do. This is what I do on a daily basis to help support, guide, and inspire those who want to be, need to be supported, guided, and inspired with the energies of the day combined with tarot to give you a navigational tool, a weather chart as to how to navigate the energies best, or what to expect with the energies you may feel within you, around you, and indeed within others. I've got the bunny rabbit out stretching his legs, and he's playing some kind of pretend game like there's a monster in the corner, so excuse the the noise, but he needs to stretch his legs. So we have got for the 10th of February. Be quiet, Bun. The 10th of February, it's a bit of a funny day. It gave me a little bit of a weird feeling, a weird vibe. And so I'm going to go with it as best I can. Now, the first thing is that we have on the bottom of the deck, we have the Two of Swords. This is speaking of using your third eye, your intuition, your psychic mind, rather than your physical two eyes, because these two eyes are very deceiving in this energy and in this moment in time. Let's face it, for a long time, things have not been what they seem, but there's something very sinister almost. It looks one way and it is actually a complete other way. For goodness sake, everything's happening on this video, phone calls a lot. So we have this energy of it being it needs to have intuition to be leading the way. It needs to have intuition be at the forefront, and gut feeling, rather than what you're being shown, what you're seeing with your two eyes, because it's what you're being told. The swords are the words, thoughts, intellect, wisdom. And there's great wisdom needed today, both to navigate your way through what you are seeing on the collective stage, particularly politically, and also what you are seeing in your individual life for those who will resonate with the individual part of this reading. We've got as the first card, I'll do the bottom of the other deck at the end, I think that's how it's going to flow today. We've got the Knight of Swords. So this speaks of truth being told. The Knight of Swords comes rushing in and charges in, and is of truth and of wisdom, but can be very quick to speak, wants to get the message across. And there feels like there's some kind of urgency to a message getting across today to you. So look out for the messages that seem to come out of the blue, that seem to come rushing in. Also, this might resonate for you yourself, being this Knight of Swords energy, in that you suddenly have a thought or a inner standing, a wisdom about something, or that a thought sort of ties other ways of thinking that you've been thinking for quite a while now all together. And again, it's still not easy information to digest. It's still not information maybe that you would choose to either gain from somebody else or inner stand from yourself. It doesn't feel easy. It doesn't feel pleasant. The truth is in the pudding, I'm hearing, for whoever that is. And so what do you do about this? There's something about from the collective stage point of view, there's sinister truths apparent for those that see them today, for those that are guided to them, for those that have the eyes to see and ears to hear. There's the sinister methods that have been going on throughout the whole process of 2019, 2020, 2021, and before that. There's like a goo leaking out today that is not nice to know. It's something that you've known intuitively, or you've had an idea of what's been going on intuitively, but also it's still not easy to get that confirmation. It's still not easy to, with some of the more, what I would call sinister types of visions that I can have sometimes, and things that I can see sometimes, it gives me a greater understanding. It gives me more things to go on. It gives me a greater piece of the puzzle, or a tying together of the puzzle. But at the same time, that does not mean that those visions, by any stretch of the imagination, I promise you, are pleasant or easy to digest. It takes a lot of practice to try and stay detached from them, observant of them, but not to be attached to them, because this stuff will send you crazy. The kind of things that have been planned and that have been going on, that I've been trying to speak about this whole time and leading up to this. I pulled my kids out of school months into 2019, because I felt some of these things coming. I could see the manifestation of many of the visions that I had come into the fore. And it's not easy to digest at all, but it's confirmation today of some of the sinister goings-on that are leaking out like goo. It feels like a gooey substance. So we've got the judgment card to bring up here, with this energy of these messages, these truths coming out. And this also being in your individual life. I'm going to go into that a bit more further into the reading, but this being a recognition of you, this being part of your path. You're here at this point in time for a reason. You're here at this point in time with an agreement that you made to yourself first and foremost, to be a part of what is going on right now, to be a part of the people that you are around right now, the things that you are doing. This is a point in time where you again, and we keep getting this card coming up as a reminder, as you stop and you, it's not judgment from anybody else, it's judgment from yourself, in that, what do I judge to leave behind? What do I judge to leave behind in the ground here? What do I take forward? What experiences and what knowledge do I take forward into this situation? And there's certain steps that you just take today that are integral to your path, integral to the soul path, the path that you agreed to walk. There's certain things today that, though it might not feel quite so pleasant, it adds a feather in your bow. It adds something to the experience that is necessary for you to be aware of, for you to process, for you to be in knowledge of, and gaining wisdom through that. And one of the biggest wisdoms today in these two cards is what I've just described, is learning how to be observant, learning how to be in connection with what is going on in life, but not being attached to it. And I know that that's difficult when it involves close loved ones. It's even difficult when you look out on the masses, on the collective stage, and it is, you know, some of this process has been heartbreaking for me, feeling their energies and seeing what people are lining themselves up for, and seeing what the outcome of this would be. it's not easy. It is heartbreaking, and you do. I sometimes rack my brains of how I can be a different knight, how I can be, you know, a different, because I am swords, I'm Gemini and Aquarius, and for the main part, and I just, you know, you sort of stop and think, how can I deliver this message in a different way, be the same night energy, but deliver this message so more people hear it, also that the people who are ignorant to what is going on right now really hear what I'm saying, really hear the warnings that I'm giving. And the answer is I can't. I can only deliver things how I am made to deliver them, led to deliver them, that my experiences give me the ability to do so. But at the same time, I can't cater for everybody. It's for them to, like all of us, make a decision to open up to truth, to open up to knowledge, no matter how difficult it can be to process that kind of knowledge. The next card we have is the 10 of Cups. And so this speaks of, now this is where this is weird, and this is where this reading felt real weird, because usually I pull out the 10 of Cups and I'm like, oh yeah, somebody's doing something right, because this is alignment, it's bliss, it's joy, it's the family, it's things being in good relation to one another, you know, the overflowing of a well done cycle in the emotional realm, in that, you know, you've built things that are aligned, that are in conjunction with each other and symbiotic with each other, and emotions are fed, emotions are in flow. But I pulled this card out and I immediately felt so sad, because I picked up on some people suffering with bipolar type energies, lunacy. Now I know that sounds crazy, but when I get the next card out, yeah, it's crazy, no pun intended. But when I get the next card out, that will explain that better. But yeah, this frantic energy, this lunacy, this absolute elation, and way up here in emotional joy and bliss, but there's a contrast to that, and the contrast to that is stark, and it's down. It's like plummets down. And so there's either yourself or people around you that are like this. Now, what I didn't like was a flashback to a certain vision that I had that is tying in now with certain events. And this is where sometimes I wish I'd just put it out, but then at the same time, you don't want to be constant, what would be deemed as a fearmonger or whatever that would be. But and you wonder, you know, in your wisdom, is it just for you to know, can people handle this message? And I wouldn't want to harm anybody with my messages. When I can maybe avoid that. Sometimes I've just got to get the message out, and people have got to do with it what they need to do with it. Then other times, especially such as these, I try and tread a bit more carefully. Now, there's certain things going on right now. There's certain things happening with frequency, things happening with medications that aren't really medications. That is, I can feel it happening more and more and more. Now, right now, it's just other people noticing people in their family. It's just, but those people are far and, you know, spaced out location-wise. And it's not being reported on media, but there's some things, there's some additives to what's going on right now that is actually worsening people's energies who have the likes of bipolar, depression, but then at the same time, there's also the inducing of this. There's something being done to the body that is inducing this. Now, whether that is frequency or medication, or whether it is both in conjunction with one another, remains to be seen. But there's something about this frantic energy that is, it feels dangerous, it feels ominous, it feels sad, It's exhausting to have something like bipolar. It's exhausting to be way up here, happy, bliss, joy, life of the party, and then plummeting down. That is exhausting. That is being on your own narcissistic trip, constantly having that, you know, the roller coaster ride. And so I appreciate the difficulty, and that energy of the night makes complete sense now as we go further in this reading, as to the fact that, you know, it's difficult to witness, but there's certain aspects of this that feel very dark on the collective stage. And like I say, it's only because I feel it's not being reported yet, that it's not being shown as one of the factors of the sinister things that are going on right now, on the attack on humanity by these very few but very dark, very malevolent beings, and the puppets that are serving them. There's a sludge to this. And so the card to clarify the 10 of Cups is the Death card. Now, this is why I'm not struggling with the energies. I can handle it, but it's not nice. I prefer other energies. I prefer other readings. In that, to me, I felt for some of you that you may be close to somebody who commits suicide. I want to say to you, there's nothing you can do to avoid this. There's nothing you can do, and if it has already occurred, there is nothing you could have done or said to avoid this from happening. I do want to say that I think it was avoidable from, if we weren't getting attacked quite so much from, or at all, from these so-called powers that be, then I feel it was avoidable, which is what really makes me mad, to be quite frank. But the energy is, there's a huge risk today, this week, of people committing suicide after having this frantic lunacy type energy of the way up here and then the way down here. Many people are really suffering with that, and it's going to be blamed on people's mental health. It's going to be blamed on lockdowns. It's going to be blamed on social distancing and stuff like that, and all of that is a factor. I know that, but this feels very different and very separate and very much more precise, in that it's about frequency and certain medications that are inducing these things in people. And also we go on to there's many people that you're witnessing in your individual life as well as on the collective stage, who have been reveling in their ego, virtue signaling regarding the unmasked, regarding people being so selfish when they hug a relative and whatnot. Many of these people, their own karma, for want of a better word, is catching up with them today. Many of these people doing this vitriol over, you know, certain non-medications that say they're medications, but they're not medications, and making a big show of that. The chickens coming home to roost. There's an impact to this, which is really sad and really just so avoidable. None of this needed to happen. I want to say that I've said this all along, that ancient times we did not have this kind of thing attacking the human body the way that it is. That I've always said, and will continue to say, that much of what we are challenged with today physically is absolutely man-made and very carefully constructed to attack certain parts of the body. And if we could get rid of these few, we wouldn't see this, and we wouldn't see many more other ailments that afflict the human race. We would not see these things. We would not have to deal with these things. Let that sink in, and then ask yourself, how much longer do we go on like this? How much longer do we go on being told what to do. That's the other thing as well, is that we're being led to death, of self, death of the joy and bliss in life, death to physical death, camps in certain aspects, because we are going along with the flow. We are following their plan, and that's some of the truths of the Knight of Swords coming out here. That's difficult to swallow and difficult to say, but you know, in people's joy and bliss of being told what to do, of being controlled, because they're so used to that, it's leading them to physical death also. We've got the Moon card, and the Moon card is in reverse. And so this is where that energy of lunacy, of the frantic energy, of very dark, sinister energy, the dark side of the moon, so to speak, the hidden cogs that have been working real hard to bring this about, and it being a lot more sinister than most people give credit for, being a lot more heavy and dark than most people give it credit for, even down to look out today for other major organizations. I wanted to say constitutions there, but I don't think that's the right word, but organizations coming out and trying to make it known that they do not back what is happening, or that giving certain evidence that counteracts the very people that they are working for. Again, this is causing a cognitive dissonance. It makes actually people think, well, what if they're so sinister, why would they put that information out? One, to cover their backs legally down the line later, and two, it is that it actually conditions people. We've been so conditioned that when that truth is out there, we don't react to it as we should. We don't react in the absolute severe anger and disappointment that we should. It just sort of blows over, like in the UK newspaper used to wrap up the fish and chips, which is so filthy really when you think about it, but you know, it was lovely. It tasted better when you had it wrapped up in yesterday's paper. And so it's this kind of they know how a lot of people work and how their psyche works, and so putting that out there actually causes them to not go and search further, and there's a lot more to search further into. There's certain amounts of cleaning up going on today regarding cleaning up of evidence, and this involves some sinister energies. I want to say to you, in your individual lives, please, 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 if you have somebody who is acting with a lunacy, a frantic type energy, who is talking about dark things, you're in conversation with them and all of a sudden they just go into a really dark place, or indeed you have sight and you see those attachments around them, that spiritual goo. I don't want you to be alone with them today. I don't want you to be in a space that you are confined with them today. They are either better off alone, and what will be, or be with other people, with these people, or with this person, or be outdoors, outside, around other people. Do not be, and I'm saying this, you know, and people who know me know that I don't extravagantize things or anything like that. I am very, very real, but don't be in a kitchen with them. Is that energy of whatever it is, that frequency or that medication that isn't a medication, all of a sudden sort of doing what it was made to do along with the frequency or just on its own. There's something about a trigger point today that I don't want you being in that physical vicinity of that trigger point, if you get what I'm saying. We've got the Hermit card to clarify the moon in reverse. There is so much to seek out in the dark again, the hermit, the wise old man, the warrior that is able to go and do the inner work. There's a lot of questions to self of why aren't you seeing, why haven't you seen before what is being revealed to you today? And you don't beat yourself up on this. we've gotten here, you know, collectively, being complacent collectively. But there is this energy and this necessary energy to really deeply seek within, to really look at each corner of self. There's something about, I can see one of you in conversation with somebody who you love, but you feel nervous. You feel nervous. And there's something about that you're helping them. You're trying to facilitate them to be the hermit energy for themselves, and they sort of, it freaks you out today when they turn that around on you and try to become psychologist to you. And it just has a really weird vibe, and for whoever resonates with that, you'll know that when that happens, you'll feel that. At that point, I do not want you being alone. And I know that sounds out there, but you know, it's not a good place. You cannot facilitate this hermit energy for anybody but yourself. This is your inner journey, your inner work. And there may be certain things today when you do this work that, because you're looking within a dark corner of self, that needs to be transmuted, that needs to be understood. Something dark and much more sinister on the collective stage, but resonates with a similar energy or a similar imprint of energy, is understood with this moon in reverse. And so, bunny rabbits coming up. The bottom of the deck on the other deck is the Temperance card. And so this, with the Hermit energy and the dark side of the moon in reverse, and the Death card, there's a lot of major arcanas for a small reading. And this is speaking of being of temperance. This is the Aquarius card. So again, it's air, but it is air speaking to the water, speaking to the emotions. So speaking calm words over self, having wisdom within your waters, going with your gut instincts, being able to transmute even the most negative, sludgy energies into something that is positive, that is clean, that is uplifting for you to use. And you can see that the water bearer, the Temperance card, she's sort of crossing those cups over her heart chakra, and that is to speak through her heart chakra to her own emotional self, to her own waters, to impregnate them with crystals that are symmetrical and beautiful, and are of calming, strengthening words. This is again another warrior energy that isn't going out there fighting, but going within and speaking that calm, speaking that peace, because there's a lot about this energy that could put you in a tailspin today, even just witnessing it in somebody else, or witnessing it on the collective stage, or coming into some of these knowings as to just how sinister things have been and are continuing to be. It could put you into a tailspin if you don't harness the Hermit energy as this calm, silent, blind warrior that just goes by foresight, inner sight, psychic sight, to put light in the darkest corners of self, and therefore being able to witness the darkest corners on the collective stage, and also keeping that the silent warrior role of speaking calm throughout this whole day, speaking peace, strength into your waters. So you've been very much so the mental warrior today, the Knight of Swords. So where things with this Knight of Swords energy at the start is physically coming charging in, you at the same time are being led to speak real calm and be really calm mentally, so that you don't go into a tailspin also. So while this is playing out in the external, in the internal, be still. In the internal, be in that silent space, in that safe space of a balanced mental state, and therefore balancing out your emotional body also, which will then balance out your reactions. The Temperance card is, it's tempered, it's balanced, it's transmutation, it's in flow, but it's also stillness, and calmness and peace. Having the ability to be a strong enough warrior to stand silent on your inner mounds while you witness and observe, rather than being part of what is playing out today, either in your individual lives or on the collective stage. So that's the reading for the 10th of February 2021, and it's intense. I can tell you it's intense. I want to reiterate just before I go those words of, if you are one of the people that is touched by this suicidal energy, and indeed in some cases suicides going through, there is nothing you can do. That judgment card comes back up again. That is their path, and we can be there to guide, do what I'm doing today, but I can only do it for those that are seeking me out. I can't force this message on others, and you are the same. You can give a message of guidance, of support and love, but you cannot force that message for that person. You cannot be the hermit energy for that person, or indeed the temperance card for that person. And so there is nothing on your head. There is no blood on your hands in this situation. I would hasten to say there's a lot of blood on the so-called powers that be hands, but at the same time we have to incorporate the same wisdom there so that we don't go crazy and do something crazy. Three of Swords just pops out, so it is a difficult day, in that, you know, again, the judgment card coming back up. Just as you are in great knowledge of a lot of truth of what is going on, regardless of the bombardment of the low frequency magic through the propaganda and through the rules, you have still found a way to be strong enough to be full of wisdom and in search of truth. And those people around you today that are affected by this suicidal energy also have had those same opportunities. They may have had completely different experiences. They may have had a really tough time, but it is their path, and they have choices to make. And those choices are not your choices to make, no matter how happy or how sad those choices might be. So much love, stay balanced and stay whole. If you want a personal reading with me, or any energy workout sessions, or any spiritual coaching, you can get in touch with me at truedivinemedia@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on my Facebook page, True Divine 44. Love and appreciate you all. Stay strong today. Email me if you're tail spinning, and I'll talk you down. Much love.